guys, it's HeySofia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to day 15 of CRAFTMAS, and today we're doing another important video. We are doing Santa's reindeer stables and the sleigh takeoff runway. So we're going to start off with the stables first, which we want to be using the dark oak log as a base and going 5 blocks long and 4 blocks wide. This will make sure that you have a nice roomy area on the inside of about 2 by 3, which is enough for a single reindeer. You then want to go 1 block ahead of the first one that you place, just like this, and this will make the second stall, and then you want to make another one connected to that. Now the way that we're going to build our stables today is that you'll have Rudolph in the center and then the other reindeer on either sides of him. And we're kind of making this slowly curving kind of stable. So it's got a little bit more detail to it than just a plain straight one. You can see there. Once you do all 9 of your stables though, we're going to start focusing on making the walls. So you want to go 4 blocks high with the dark oak log and do this on all of the logs. And you end up with this, which you then want to use the dark oak plank and just make a trimming around the bottom of these logs in between all of them. So even on the inside you want to be doing this trim, and you end up with this. And then we're going to be using the light green terracotta block and filling in the walls today up to the top where the dark logs end. You can use any color you like. Maybe you want to use red walls or white walls or blue or pink. Any color you like I think is completely fine. I just like the light green, and then I'm doing for a trim the normal green, the darker green terracotta. So maybe you could do red and white, or you could do light blue, normal blue, or pink and purple, or anything you like, but that's what I'm doing today. And we're going to start focusing on the roof now that we have finished this little trim. Now the roofing today will be the dark oak block. Can you see there is a dark oak trim? But I think the dark oaks are really quite festive-y kind of color block, especially when my village is kind of German themed. It's really appropriate to be using something like the dark oak because I think it suits German villages really well. Now the roof is going to be all just slabs and quite flat because I'm doing that kind of stable look today. I don't want too much going on with the roofing, except I am going to do this little detail here, making a little kind of arched entry for the roof stable. Now I'm going to have Rudolph's stable in the center there, which is why I'm doing this arched look. It just adds a little bit more, like a little bit more detail and something different. It kind of showcases him a little bit more, I guess. But I'm just making the arch at the moment. I think something simple like this is nice, but I might widen it a little bit at the end, but we'll worry about that later. Now that that's done though, we're going to fill in the rest of the roof. Now you just want to make a single overhang around the front as well. And you want to carry this overhang around the back of the build and then just completely fill in the top here with these slabs. So I will speed up ahead in a second. There we go. So our roofing is finished, and you can see I did make it actually 1 block wider on those 2 bits there. But I think this is looking quite nice. Now some more details we're adding to the front is I'm using some of the dark oak fence posts to make kind of like some little pole support structures at the front, and just a nice little detail. Now you could use the spruce if you wanted a different color of wood, or even maybe something like the jungle fence post would be quite nice. And then down the bottom I left a gap, which we're putting the cobblestone fence post in there just to make a little kind of a wider base for these poles. Some final details is the inside of all these stables we're going to be filling in with the hay block, and also kind of carrying on the outside just so it kind of looks like the hay is slowly creeping out onto the snow, like taking over because it's moving around. And once you finish doing that, you just want to do details on top with the yellow carpet block to make some piled looking snow areas. For gates and entries, I'm just using the spruce, which is why I said you could use the spruce for the poles because they could match quite nicely. And we're also going to make on the side of the build, I'll just get rid of some of these here. We're also going to do on the side of the build a pile of hay because the reindeer probably would eat hay as well as carrots. You could also do some fence posts. You could also do some like item frames with carrots in it as well. You could like make a little carrot patch next to there, like a little greenhouse with carrots growing in it. That could be a cool little detail you could also do. You could also put cauldrons on the inside of your stables with water in there. There's lots of little ways you can add extra little details, but I'm doing the kind of the basics today to have enough detail but not overboard for this tutorial. The last kind of thing we're going to be doing is making signs up the top with all the reindeer names with Rudolph in the center like I mentioned. There we go. And final detail is I'm going to make a little garland up the top. Now this is something you don't have to do if you don't want to. I'm kind of enjoying putting garlands on absolutely everything. It's Christmas time and it looks very festive. Now for this one you probably don't want it hanging because it's going to cover the reindeer names. So just keep it as a straight one that's pinned along the edging of the roof. Now this is a very neat look for a garland and I think it's okay. Garlands don't always have to be hanging. Sometimes, especially like if you look at lights when people decorate their houses, they're pinned exactly to the gutter and the trim of the house. So I think it's okay to have non-hanging ones on some of your builds. And if you wanted to add a little bit more of a Christmassy touch to your garland, you can simply just do some little skulls on top like this to make little ornaments. I'm just going to use the red and green that I grabbed from the Santa's workshop because I think it looks quite nice, and that way they're kind of matching each other as well. This is done though, you could do anything else you could do to your stables. You could maybe add llama in there. I think llama could be quite cute, and you could put red and green little like the little carpets on them that add the little clothing. That could be a cute little touch. Unfortunately I can't just easily spawn animals on the server we play on because people do grieve with that, so I can't do that for you today, but that's okay. That's something that you can do if you built this. We're going to go on now and start to build the sleigh take-off runway, which I'll be using the dark oak staircase slab and block, also the red and white concrete block and the iron bars. First thing you want to do is kind of create where you want the end of the runway, so where you want the final point for it, and kind of use that as a base. And we're going to from there start to actually build the top of the runway and work our way down to the beginning where the start of the run with the sleigh starts. So you want to go about as tall as you think you should be going. I think something like this looks quite nice. Now this is something you have to kind of like play around with. There's no right or wrong way. You might want a really long runway or a really tall one, so it just depends how tall or how big you make yours. But the way I'm doing mine is you want it really steep up the top, so I've got a full block there with a staircase on top, and you can see the slab isn't really making it steep enough, so you want to remove that, and I might do a staircase, but again it's not really steep enough. So that's what I mean, that you just want to play around and see what you get, but the staircase is not steep enough for me anyway. We'll do a full block up here maybe, and remove that one there, remove that one, do a staircase here. Yeah, I think that's starting to look good now. Now some of you might think I'm making this like really vertical, but whenever like I was growing up and I saw census things or anything like that, at least the sleigh runways that I saw were really quite vertical, because the idea is that he's riding the sleigh with the reindeer and they're having to like shoot themselves up in the air to go really quite vertical for a takeoff, and then they kind of straighten out once they're in the air. So that's why I'm making mine really quite steep. Now if that's not what you saw when you were growing up as a kid, or that's not what you think the sleigh should be, then don't make it as steep as I'm doing, but I really like mine being this steep, so that's what I'm going for today. And then once you have the steep bit, you want to slowly kind of like curve it down and use slabs from that point onward. Now the slabs you want to kind of make wider and wider and wider until it's completely flat on the ground. I think this is not looking steep enough again. But see what I mean by playing around? You just really need to play around like a lot. But I think that's looking pretty good now. So it's got that nice kind of steep curve that I was wanting right at the top. You can see what I mean, that it's quite vertical, but it needs to be to shoot himself up into the air with the reindeer. And then once you get that curve that you think looks nice, just start doing the slabs. So this one I'll now make about 2 blocks wide, and then this one I will make 3 blocks long. But you just gradually want to get that curve down. But you basically just want to do this until you end up with a completely flat, like on the ground curve there. You'll see in a second I'll speed up and I would have been finished doing this end curve bit. There we go. And then you want to make the final curve bit of the slab really long, because they need that kind of running bit before they shoot themselves up the top. Now I'm doing a trim so I can make some support structure. You could do plain red, I might do red and white. It's kind of like a racing trim, but it's also candy cane and festive, so I think it looks quite nice. And then you just want to go the whole way along like this. It's also good because if you did only the slabs and then you tried to make little support poles underneath the slabs and stuff, it might not work. So by doing the full blocks like this, it just means that you can do those support structures, because you can just put the support structures underneath the full blocks and they will always connect. So I'll do this side and then I'll finish the other side. There we go. So I did the exact same on the other side. And then the support structure, we will be using those iron bars because I think it looks quite strong and sturdy. If you have like a whole sleigh, a Santa, a toy sack, and 9 reindeer, you probably want to make sure that your takeoff ramp is really fully supported. And I sped up ahead and finished doing that. So there you go, you guys. There is how to build a Santa sleigh, takeoff runway, and Santa's reindeer stables. I might do some of the joining up to the rest of the village and decorating here in a live stream, or maybe a decoration video. But like always guys, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, comment down below, and like always, thank you, bye!